Hello and welcome to Big Orbit Games unboxing video of the Force of Will deck Pricia the Beast Lady Wind deck. My name is Simon, I'm joined today by James.
Hello, I'm James.
And we'll be unboxing this together. So we're going to open it up, just go through the contents and show you what's in there. We're not going to go into huge amount of details. We are assuming that you are sort of new to this game, and that's why you're watching it, because you want to see what's in here. So first of all, you get a quick rules guide on how to play, although to say how to win, which is quite useful to know. So this just explains the turn sequence and the different cards, the zones, what some of the wording means in the game, everything you need to know to get started with playing. You also get a little play mat, which shows you all your zones, useful if you haven't played many card games before, because it can be a bit confusing. It shows you where you put your deck, graveyard and other bits, and you've got this beautiful Seven Kingdoms artwork in the background, which is from the story. However, the mat is quite small. I think you'll quickly outgrow it, especially with this deck, because it wants to play a lot of resonators, and there's only a space for about 2 side by side here, so you will quickly outgrow this mat, unfortunately, but it's good for learning with. And then you also get a rules reference. So this is useful for you've started playing a few games and you've got some more intricate questions you want to ask, you want to know some of the more nitty-gritty details about the rules. This is where you head to. I'm not going to unfold the whole thing, but this is where you would come to get the answers to some questions you have. So we'll move on to the actual deck. So this is the Wind deck. You get a 40 card pre-constructed deck. You also get your Magic Stone deck. You get 10 Wind Magic Stones in there, because this is just one single will deck, one single colour, which there are cards of different will attributes, but we'll explain why in a moment. So we have here Pricia, which is the commander of the Sacred Beasts. Now this is a J ruler side which gets flipped over to. She starts as Pricia, the Beast Lady. So I'm going to explain some of the rules, assuming you are new to the game, but I'm not going to go into huge detail. So Pricia, as a ruler, has abilities, and she has a couple on this one. So you can pay the attribute cost of 4 Sacred Beasts, so that's a race, 4 Sacred Beast Resonators with will of any attribute, so you can use any colour to pay for them. Then you can pay 2 green, 2 wind, to give target beast or 4 Sacred Beast +100/+100 attack and defense until end of turn. So she can also pump up a 4 Sacred Beast or a normal beast. Then rulers have judgments, so you can do this in your turn. You can pay the judgment cost, which in this case is 2 wind, to flip them over to the J ruler side. They then become like a pseudo resonator. She has 800 attack and 800 defense, and a couple of new abilities. In fact, she can gain several. She gains target attack, which is where they're allowed to attack recovered resonators, if you have a light attribute resonator. She has swiftness. If you control a fire resonator, swiftness allows her to attack the turn as soon as she's activated.
Or tap her for abilities.
Yeah, or tap her for abilities, sorry. Rest her for abilities.
Oh, sorry.
Trying not to use magic terms here. She has flying if you control a water resonator, and she also gets +200/+200 if you control a wind resonator. So effectively one of each, except for darkness, gives her an ability. She also has a God's Art, summon the Sacred Beasts. Now God's Art abilities can only be done once per game. They are one-time big effects. Hers costs 3 wind and X. So in this example, let's say X is 4, which is what it probably will be. So God's Art's quite expensive, it costs 7 for the maximum effect. But what you do is you search your deck for up to X 4 Sacred Beasts Resonators with different names. As you can tell by the race, there are 4 different 4 Sacred Beasts. You reveal them and put them into your hand. Then put the same amount of 4 sacred beasts with different names from your hand into your field and shuffle your deck. So what this allows you to do, say you put the maximum of 4 in, you'd go and get 1 of each of the 4 sacred beasts, show them to your opponent, put them into your hand, shuffle your deck, and then play 4 of them out, which is fantastic and is exactly what the deck wants to be doing. So, without much ado, let's go on to the actual deck. So here we have the first of the 4 sacred beasts, Baihu the Sacred Beast. Told you he was a sacred beast. He costs 3 will to play, normally 1 white and 2 of any. However, Pricia's ruler ability says you can use any colour, any will to pay for this. So, because he is a 4 sacred beasts. He has 600 attack, 600 defense. He has target attack. This card can attack recovered J resonators. And when he enters the field, gain 200 life for each 4 sacred beasts you control. So if you play him by himself, you get 200 life. If you played him when you had the other Baihu in play, you'd get 400, and so on and so forth.
So I'm assuming this ability is being able to play all 4, he'd still get the 200 for the other 3 that are coming on at the same time?
Yeah, because they all enter at the same time.
Okay.
So they all see each other and count each other.
Okay.
So you only get 2 Baihu in there, sadly. So the first step, by the way, would be to get 2 more Baihu, because the extra life gain is fantastic. We have Zukyu, the Sacred Beast. Only costs 2 for this one. He has Swiftness, which means he can rest the turn he comes into play. And when he enters, it deals 200 damage to target resonator for each 4 sacred beast. So again, if you were to play, let's say you had the other 3 already in play and you played the 4th one, you get to deal 800 damage to a resonator. That's pretty good in my book. Even though he's a bird, he said he doesn't have flying, which is a common theme in Force of Will.
Chicken. Chickens sound good at flying.
Yeah, okay, I'll take that. And he has 400 attack and 400 defense. But you get 4 of them in there.
This is also basically showing you what each attribute is good at as well, because light is very target attack, heal, swiftness, damage, all sorts of stuff.
And then we get to the water one, which is Zanwu, the Sacred Beast, who costs 3 to play. He's a 4 Sacred Beast. When he enters your field, return target resonated to its owner's hand if its total cost, so its total will, in this case 3, is less than or equal to the number of 4 sacred beasts you control. So if you had 3 of these, you could return a 3 cost. And whenever this card blocks, prevent the next damage it would be dealt until end of turn. So you can use this as a good roadblock to stop your opponent, because it doesn't get damaged each time. It has 500 attack and 700 defense. You get 4 of them in there. And just to give you a little tip, when it enters, you can return target resonator to its owner's hand, not opponent's, target. So you could bounce one of your other 4 sacred beasts
To get its center effect again.
to then replay it with the center effect, yes. So
I was also thinking of Gleipnir, how do you say it? With this, to make it, force it to block.
yeah, Gleipnir is a Regalia, which is in one of the other trial decks. So yeah, which can force your opponent's resonators to have to block, which
Or your own.
Or your own.
So I was thinking if you use it with this guy, he recovers at the end of it. So then you do it again. And he can't take any damage.
Be cool. Something to look at. So you get 4 of those in there.
That might be a really bad plan, I'm not sure.
I'm going to slightly reorder the deck just so we do hit the other 4 Sacred Beast. I got thrown off track there. We have the last one, which is Qinglong, the Sacred Beast. So he costs 3 to play. 800 attack and defense, so he's one of the biggest of the 4. And when he enters your field, if you control at least one of the 4 sacred beasts, you get to draw a card. So his enter effect doesn't stack or multiply. However, you can pay 1, and your other 4 sacred beast resonators you control get plus 200, 200 till end of turn. However, you can only do this once per turn. If you have all 4 of the Qinglongs out though, you could do once each for each Qinglong. So you could have that stacked to give them all an 800 bonus. So yeah, you get 4 of each of the sacred beasts except Baihu, who you only get 2 of. These are all rare cards as well, by the way, apart from Qinglong, who has the gold border. And if you see down to the collector's numbers there, that says SR. That means
super rare.
Super rare. So you're getting some really good cards in this deck. You're getting like all those rares there already, and 4 super rares. You're getting some really good cards in there.
I'm just surprised it's not the 4 Baihus and only 2
Qinglongs, because of the being an SR, but hey ho. So we have Herald of the Beast Lady. So this is another card. It's still a resonator, however it's just a beast. It only costs 1 will to play. No abilities, it's just a 400/400. So this is what you'd play early game whilst you're waiting to build up the will to be able to play your 4 sacred beasts. And you get 4 of those. You also get rapid growth. This only costs 1 will to play. It's an instant, so you can play this in your opponent's turn. It's target J Resonator gains plus 400 attack and defense until end of turn, so it boosts one of your Resonators or J Resonator or J Ruler. And it has Remnant. Now what Remnant means is you can, after you've played it, it goes to your graveyard. You can then play it again from your graveyard. However, this time it gets removed from the game afterwards. So you can effectively use them twice.
And with only a 1 drop, you can put it in multiple decks and just have a sort of jewel stone of of something and wind. Because
yeah, and just use it to boost any Resonator in any deck. And you get 4 of those in there, which is effectively 8. Then we have Sisay, the Ancient Forest. Now, despite having a giant stag on it, it is actually an addition field forest. So this goes into play and gives a global effect. Only costs 2 to play. Beasts and 4 sacred beasts you control get 200/200. So it's pumping all of the deck basically. And whenever a Resonator is put into a graveyard from your field, you can pay 3 to draw a card. It's a bit, 3 is quite a lot to pay, but if you've got the will available, definitely do it.
yeah,
Drawing is always beneficial, always. And you get 2 of those. And I would immediately say get 2 more probably for your deck because of the permanent boost it gives you. We then have Sprint of the Beast Lady, Pricia there riding Baihu, by the looks of it.
yeah.
It costs 3 to play. It's a spell chant, so you have to play this during your turn. But J Resonators you control get 600/600 till end of turn. So this is good for a massive bomb hit where you just boost your entire field and just slam into your opponent pretty hard.
The 3 cost those. I guess it can affect your J Ruler as well. But that's pretty steep cost.
It can be steep, but it's good for a big turn.
Yeah, I suppose.
And you get 2 of those in there. We then get to the Regalia. So each of the Tridex has a Regalia that pertains to the ruler. This one is the Horn of Sacred Beasts, which this Regalia is used by Pricia. So it costs nothing to play. You can just put it into play. You can rest it to produce 1 will, but this can only be spent to play 4 Sacred Beasts. So it helps you get the 4 Sacred Beasts into play to start with. And then rest to give your J Ruler 200/200 until end of turn. But if it was Pricia, the commander of the Sacred Beasts, so her J Ruler side, it also gains imperishable until end of turn, which is James's favourite word.
Yeah.
So imperishable means?
So normally if your J Ruler would die in battle, you would flip it back. You wouldn't actually flip it back. It would become an astral ruler. It loses all abilities apart from the ability to tap and get stones. But if you've got imperishable, it goes back onto its ruler side, and you can use all its abilities again. Next turn, you could do judgment or whatever. It becomes its own original form.
Yeah, so it stops it from completely dying, which is nice. So imperishable is a useful ability to have. You can also banish this card, so that means while it's in play, you can sacrifice it, put it to the graveyard to do this ability. Target player shuffles all magic stones from his or her graveyard into his or her magic stone deck, then shuffles all cards from their graveyard into their main deck. This is useful against sort of the darkness decks, that rely on utilising their graveyard.
Specifically Necronomicon, just as they start to use it, you then use this, and it puts all their graveyard away, and they have to discard their hand at the end of the turn.
So yeah, so it's useful. It's very useful. You get 4 of those in there, noting again that that is a rare as well. You also get Holy Ground of the 4 Sacred Beasts. So this is an addition field with a global effect. It only costs 1 to play. When it enters the field, you can make a choice. Put target 4 Sacred Beasts resonating from your graveyard into your hand, so get 1 back to your hand that might have been killed earlier, or draw a card. You can then also pay 1 less to play evolution abilities of resonators you control. So, spoilers here, the 4 Sacred Beasts die in the story. And this is where they died. So that's why it allows you to get 1 back from the graveyard when you play it. However, its real ability is the ability to cheapen the evolutions, which unfortunately isn't what's in this deck. There is some, so there is some which is hiding back here, but what this means is this gives you a very clear route to upgrade the deck if you would like to. So you can either refocus on the 4 Sacred Beasts and using them, or start looking at the new evolution cards from the Twilight Wanderer. So you get 2 of those in there, so there's not too much focus on it. You could just take them out quite easily, switch them for something like Sisay, but that's an idea to keep in mind. So this is also from the new set, the Beast Queen's Counterattack. It's a spell chant, so you play it in your turn. It costs 2 to play. Target J Resonator you control gains 400 until end of turn. Then that card and target J Resonator your opponent controls deal damage equal to their attack to each other. So the idea of this one is you buff up your J Resonator, or going by the artwork, Pricia, and then it fights another card. And hopefully beats it up because you've given it a 400 buff.
And you can also buff your guys with Queen Long as well, just for a little bit of support. Yeah,
extra buff. Always good. So you get 4 of those in there. And then lastly, we have the Beast Queen's Guardian. So this is a beast, 300 for attack and defense. Only costs 1 to play, so good for dropping early game. And it does have an evolution ability, so you have to pay 1 wind and 1 void. You can only do this if there's no evolution counters on it though. And then as long as there is an evolution counter on it, it gets 300. So 3 wind you can have a 600, or if you had the Holy Ground in play for 2 mana, of 2 will, you can have a 600. And you get 4 of those in there. So there we go. That is everything you get in the Pricia trial deck for Force of Will. What I'll say is there are 2 different routes you could take this if you want to look at upgrading it. You can look at going more towards the evolution route and focusing on buffing Pricia and using him more actively as a J ruler. Or the alternative route is to focus on trying to abuse the 4 Sacred Beasts and not worrying about activating Pricia by just keeping her face up on this side, and you're just focusing on using the beasts more.
And even if you did decide to go for the first route you were talking about with the evolution, with Pricia's search ability, you could just have like 1 or 2 of each Sacred Beast in there.
Yeah, you just use the God's Art ability as and when you want to at some point, just to play it. Because you could pay X to search for them, and then you get to actually play them from your hand. So yeah, it works well. So you can sort of do a little bit of both if you want to. It's very much it's a bit of a beat stick deck, just with some really cool utility because of what you can do with the 4 Sacred Beasts. But I think there's a lot of room for growth with this one, definitely. There's a lot of different things you can do with it, so it's going to be fun seeing people experiment with this deck and which way they go with it. So yeah, there we go. That is everything in the Pricia deck. So remember, everything you've seen here can be bought and sold on our website, bigorbitcards.co.uk. Remember to like and subscribe. I hope you've enjoyed watching, That's bye from me, Simon.
Bye from me, James.
And we'll see you next time. Bye.